Hello. So the question here is, what do you do in calculating child support or spousal support? Intentional employment is when one parent or one spouse diverts or diminishes or lowers their income. The usual reason to do that is to pay less child support, to receive more child support, or to pay or to influence the amount of spousal support. The first question, of course, is what could that person be earning if they were if they're employed in a normal basis in a normal job. You would look to the past. First thing is you'd want to get old pay stubs, old tax returns, and figure out how much that person was earning before the before the divorce, or before the child support was litigated. So the idea is, if they were making a certain amount back when the relationship was good, that should be the amount that they are making today, if they were doing the correct amount of work or the correct management of their business. So the starting point would be older financial records. Also, if there is a CPA or an accountant, then that would be a real gold mine, because that's an independent third party charged by law with filing accurate returns. You'd also want to get older bank statements. You'd also want to check even current bank statements to see if money is being diverted. So the person could still be working, and they could still be working full time, just getting the money under the table, getting the money from another job that they didn't tell you about. So you'd want to look at the bank statement to see what has changed. So again, you might see deposits in there from another employer. The person could be doing delivery work. You see deposits from DoorDash or Lyft. You would also want to see if suddenly an expense or expenses disappeared. So the older bank statements show expenses for food. Now suddenly there are no more food expenses in the most recent bank statements. So what happened? The person is obviously still eating if they're still alive. And so how are they getting the money to pay their food bill? Well, maybe they're again having another job. Maybe they've opened up another bank account and the money is being deposited there. Maybe they're being paid in kind. If they work for a grocery store, if they're working for a restaurant, they could be getting the food that way. And the same thing with utilities, same thing with even with rent. If the person suddenly stops paying rent, well, they're living somewhere. Where are they living? Did they move to, are they living in their car? If not, then who's paying the rent for where they live? And where's that money coming from? If it's coming from a third party, girlfriend might be paying it, a boyfriend might be paying it, then you'd want to go after the financial records of that person. If they're living in a rented apartment or house, subpoena the landlord, get the lease, get the application. If they recently purchased something new on credit, especially a new car, then you'd want to get that car loan. What have they done to change their patterns, their practices, their business? Are they slowing down the business? Are they expanding the business? Are they tired of being a stonemason and they want to make pottery or something? So that is all the things that could go into evaluating whether the person is in fact voluntarily lowering their income in order to get more out of the other party. And then the question is, why is their income lower? We're just coming out of this COVID situation, and a lot of businesses failed. They really failed through no fault of the owner operators. A lot of people were terminated. A lot of people have lost their skills if they were at home not going to work for 2 or 3 years. The businesses itself might be gone. The whole area of the business activity could have been replaced or just eliminated. All of the activities from working in the office, if everyone's working from home, do you need someone working in the office? No, you don't. So the job itself might have been downsized or might have been eliminated completely. The company could have relocated. There could have been a specialty skill that can only be where the person has to follow the job as to wherever that job would lead you. The person may have legitimately lost their job and is now getting retraining. If they're claiming that, obviously you want to see it. Where are you going to school? What are you learning? What certificate are you trying to get when you graduate? How long will it take? How much will that training improve your employment? What is the new business? What old business were you in? How realistic is it that you're going to become a hang glider tour guide or something like that? Or would it be more realistic if you wanted to be a MRI technician working in a hospital where the jobs are available anytime you want to work there? So all of those things is what you would need to find out. And once litigation starts, the way you find it out is there are questions that we ask that the person has to answer under oath. Those are called interrogatories. And there are work-related questions. If the person is not working, if they've lost their job, what efforts are they making towards finding a new job? And there are also demands for documents called requests for production of documents, that the person has to turn over documents to you to respond to each one of those requests. And we would include requests on what are you doing to get a job? What kind of notes are you taking? Why are you working less now? If you're claiming that your company went out of business, let's see some proof of that. Let's see your layoff notice. How much did you get? Any kind of a final amount of payment? Did you get a termination package? If you did, let's see that. And of course, double check, did that company go out of business? There's another option would be hiring a private investigator. If you suspect that the person is in fact still working, you could hire a private investigator. We're getting into more expensive services here. If we're going to, if you could hire an expert, that's going to cost money. If you want to hire a private investigator to do surveillance, that's going to cost money. But that investigator could follow the person around. If they are self-employed as a plumber, are they not working? Or are they getting up every morning, driving over to a location, doing plumbing work, getting paid under the table, or getting paid and putting it into a different bank account, a bank account that you don't know about? And as part of what we do in discovery, the interrogatories, the questions would ask, list every bank account you have. Give us the bank statements for the last 3 years of every bank account, checking, savings, brokerage. And you go through, once you get those, you go through them and determine something that jumps out at you. Again, it could be suddenly there's no more expenses for food. Which the person is still working. Obviously, they're getting food, or at least money for food somehow. So you'd want to dig more into that. If you see bank accounts that suddenly go to zero or to no activity. So how is the person getting paid? How are they spending the money? Where are they spending the money? The other side of that is you'd want to look carefully at money that's going into the account. If the person is employed, is the money going into the account? Also, looking at old bank accounts, you'd see that a certain amount have been going into the account every 2 weeks. On a Friday, every other Friday, they would receive a deposit of a certain amount. That same amount every pay period. Suddenly, those deposits disappear. Suddenly, you see other deposits. Well, what are those deposits? Where did that money come from? Who is paying the money now that goes in there? You would also look at the bank statements or the credit card statements for unexplained outflows. So you see paying you go through the bank statement, and every month the person pays the electric bill, they pay the water bill, they have various gasoline, presumably charges for automobile gasoline, maybe a repair bill one here and there, food, clothing, eating out, whatever, the gym, dry cleaning, expenses for the children, and then suddenly there's a big chunk, $4,000 withdrawal. Where did that money go? What was that done for? Why is that an exact amount of $4,000? Why isn't it some kind of a different amount? If they were, and it could be a reasonable explanation. They could be paying estimated taxes. They could be paying their lawyers. They could be paying any type of thing, a deposit on a new car or something like that. There could be a reasonable explanation for it, but it is something that jumps out at you and that you want to look at. I think I already talked about if you see charges at a distant location where it doesn't make sense. So why are there suddenly charges for 2 weeks in Colorado? Maybe that's where the parent was visiting their parents, which is a legitimate explanation, or perhaps that's where the spouse is visiting their boyfriend or girlfriend, and so now you have some proof of adultery. So that's the kind of thing you'd want to look at as an initial sweep. That's why you want to hire a lawyer early. The lawyer should get involved, should send out these questions and these demands for documents, press the other side until they get them back, then go through them. Then you might want to subpoena. Then you might want to hire a private investigator. Then you might want to subpoena the neighbor, a coworker. So suddenly they're spending a lot of time with this particular coworker. Is it legitimate? Or especially if they're looking at no income or low income. So why are there, if the person's claims that they're not working or they're working a lot less, then why do you see expenditures every day at the location where they used to work? Have they gone to their employer and worked out some kind of a new deal? Start paying me under the table. Or I set up an LLC and pay the money to the LLC instead of paying it to me, so I can, get a good outcome in the divorce or in the child support litigation.